Person sits in there, as we find out, 31 seconds, wipes it down, gets up, walks away. Cameras catch this person walking around the outside of the fence of the pool. Unfortunately, security's camera, they take pictures every 3 seconds. This person was caught every 3 seconds on video with the person's head behind a fence post. The luckiest person in the world. Every 3 seconds, his head's behind a fence post, so we can't even identify that person.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to True Crime Unsolved. I'm Miles Reef, and I'm here with my friend Sean Cahill. This is the channel where we tackle the stories the TV networks won't touch. Unsolved homicides, missing persons cases, stories without an ending. Sean, what do we got going on today?
What's up, Miles? We've got a really, really crazy story for you today. And the parents of a missing young woman named Jennifer Kesse, Drew and Joyce are their names. And we had a very long and interesting conversation with them. If you guys don't know about the Jennifer Kesse disappearance case, go to the top of our playlist and check out our case breakdown video. That's going to give you everything you need to know about this case, just sort of in a nutshell, right? Then come back here and watch this because we learned so much from Drew and Joyce about their daughter, the disappearance. And this is one of those cases where it really seems like it's the family that's been driving this forward the whole time, right? Not to like throw shade on any particular law enforcement department, but look, it's been 19 years and literally nothing has been discovered or found in that time. So this is a family that's been kind of going it alone, spending every resource, every waking minute trying to find out what happened to their daughter. They don't even know if she's alive. They don't know if somebody took her, if she's dead. All that was ever found was her card. So with that being said, and not giving away too many details, this is one of those videos you definitely don't want to skip. I think when we started this whole project, this is one of the cases I had in mind as like one of the most disturbing, right? Miles is shaking his head, disturbing, really mysterious disappearances. One where you can see the killer on camera, but you can't see their face. Nobody even knows if it's a man or a woman, how old they are. So it's just got these frustrating elements. And again, hearing it from Drew and Joyce's perspective and everything they've been through is, I've never done an interview like it, right? I don't know, Miles, you have anything you want to add to that?
It's such a harrowing piece of evidence, that video footage, it's bizarre, and it gives you chills watching it in context when you just see, and you guys who are familiar with the case, you probably know what we're talking about, but it'll be in the larger video, embedded in the interview, but just sort of being able to see who this person probably was, but how they somehow, out of luck or timing, avoided actually being in the center of the camera as they walk through the frame. It's bizarre, it's very, very mysterious. It's very mysterious, and it's rare that you get a piece of evidence like that, right? Where it's like, oh, they're right there, but if we could just see who that was.
Yeah, I think it's also, it speaks sort of to the time period too, right? It's like this is 2006 when this all happened, and cameras were a little lower res. Google Earth wasn't quite the same. Cell phones and cell towers and all that tracing technology that is used all the time now just wasn't there, right? And I think that's kind of frustrating for us, having covered a lot of cases, to look at and be like, oh, this just feels like if it happened today, maybe it would have been solved, but time is a real bitch, and not having a lot of that information that we would expect to have now, it kind of puts a big hole in it. So there were other things I think that didn't quite go right. We're going to hear it from Drew and Joyce. Um, that being said, like this is going to be one of those episodes that I think we're going to get the web sleuths probably watching, because this one is just people pour over this. This is it sounds weird because it's not like a band or something, but it has a following, right? Like people check in on this. Even Drew and Joyce told us, you'll see it in the interview. People come to them off the street. They know who they are. They get lots of like letters and phone calls and weird tips. It's a blessing and a curse, right? Because a lot of times like you want the public's help, but then when your case becomes this famous, things can get a little weird and not all the people contacting you are super helpful. So anyway, I don't want to spoil all that, but Miles, I mean, as usual, right? This is an interview where they're going to give us some opinions. They're not ours. They're
Absolutely.
theirs.
Yeah, yeah. As always, guys, the any opinions or theories that our guests put forward are theirs and theirs alone. We are providing a platform. We're not making an endorsement.
And guys, as always, this is one of those stories that has, like we talked about, a lot of attention. People have been kind of like web sleuthing it for years. So please, if you're one of those people, or if you're just interested, get in the comments and let us know what you think. Especially after watching this interview. There's so much stuff to kind of chew over mentally, and maybe Miles and I missed something, or maybe you like what we're thinking, or you had something you wanted to say about what Jennifer's parents are kind of theorizing, because there was a couple of theories discussed, right? So either way, if you're enjoying what we're doing, like, subscribe, and please, please get in the comments and let us know what you think. So that being said, let's go meet Drew and Joyce Kesse and hear their story.
Thank you for doing this. Obviously, we are well aware of, you know, what it takes to kind of have to go over this over and over again for people in your position, and we do really appreciate you being willing to sit down and speak with us. I just wanted to kind of reiterate, like, the real reason that Sean and I are doing this project is that for years we've wanted to tackle cases that aren't solved, and our day jobs, so to speak, haven't allowed that. And it the people that are in your position, we feel like need the help more than anybody else and need the outlet. And
Thank you.
you're no, thank you. And the biggest thing that could come out of this, the perfect scenario for Sean and I is that we put this out there and then someone sees it and actually has some information, and it helps you reach a conclusion, but whatever that may be. So we do really appreciate you coming on and speaking to us. Where do you guys want to start? We thought the best place to start would maybe be just talking about Jennifer, and you guys kind of telling us who she was, in your own words.
All right. Well, I'll start. Jennifer, love of our life, planned, whatever, beautiful little girl, grew up to be a lovely young woman, brilliant, compassionate, caring. Used to do, if you can believe it or not, as a 10-year-old, she would do tube feedings on one of our neighbors' children who had a feeding tube.
Wow.
Like her and her best friend were always just, into helping people. Jen used to volunteer at a nursing home where my girlfriend was the director of nursing, and they'd deliver mail, they'd read mail, they'd paint the ladies' fingernails. So if it kind of gives you an indication of her makeup, compassion, caring.
She was very good at school, always in the top of the class. She got a B once and she was really mad. When she walked into a room, literally the room lit up. She's just always smiling. People always came to her, gravitated towards her. She's stubborn. We will say that. She has a little bit of that in her from us, I would think. But she's always out. She was always outgoing, and really just wanted to have the best for everyone around her too, not just for her. So always a good friend, and just there for people.
And she was her brother's biggest supporter, best friends. I mean, they had a very close relationship. They were 3 years apart.
Yeah.
Wow.
But she had also left the house to go to the University of Central Florida, made some incredible friends there that are still friends with us to this day. And really her life took off from there. That's when she was truly becoming, I guess, the woman that she was going to end up to be. And unfortunately, it did get cut short. But, we were lucky. We had 24 years with Jennifer.
Yes.
So it's just not that we had her as an infant and this happened, or as a teenager. We saw her through a lot of her life.
The milestones.
Yeah.
So, we feel blessed in the regard that we saw her graduate high school with honors, graduate college with honors, get an incredible job, get 3 promotions in a very less than 2 years, buys her own brand new condo without any help from her mom and dad. I mean, that's the kind of go-getter, just dynamic.
Right. And under this situation, Jennifer was literally the safest person we knew. Unfortunately, when Joyce and I were young, before we had children, the house that we were living, well, we were living with my parents at the time, building our first house, and we had actually walked in on someone who broke into our house, and we were at gunpoint. So from home invasion, basically.
Wow.
And they were in our house for hours. They ripped it apart like you see on TV.
Yeah.
So as soon as our children could understand, we started teaching them safety. So our children, honestly, we call Jennifer the mother hen. You get in a car, she wouldn't. Seatbelt on. Seatbelt on. Even in college, she wouldn't even do like her friends would get in the car. Jen, start the car. You're not seatbelted in. And she wouldn't even start the car. Stuff like that.
What's really kind of comical is because I actually had told Jennifer and Logan many, many years ago, the car doesn't start unless the seatbelts are on. So that was just something that, you know, was ingrained in her. And then the other thing is police often don't unbuckle dead bodies. They, you know what I mean? Like if you're wearing your seatbelt, chances are you're going to live through a crash.
It's a really good point. And it clearly rubbed off on her, it sounds like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's really clear to me that you guys are very proud of her, and it's really cool to see you talk about her with such big smiles on your faces. It really comes across how much you loved her. Let me ask you this. So it sounds like she obviously had a bright future. What do you think her trajectory was? Where was Jennifer going in life?
Well, her goal was to become a CFO of some type of a medical company. Not interesting, but she knew that she wanted to do something in medicine, and CFO was her goal.
Yeah, she had tried to go pre-med, and then she looked at the workload, and she says, "You know, I like numbers a lot."
I was going to ask you that when you mentioned
they kind of mixed
her, you know, what she had done as a kid, and the, you know, helping the neighbor, and you know, going to the nursing home and all that. I was wondering if she'd thought about going into nursing or being a doctor or something like that. So that's
she thought about being a doctor, and she wanted to be an eye doctor for a number of years.
Yeah.
But she never wanted to be a nurse, and I think that's probably because, you know, I would come home sometimes and tell some, grody nurse stories. I turned both my children off to anything in healthcare.
Because you were an RN, right?
Yeah, excuse me, am an RN. Just like
still a Marine. Oh, wow, okay.
Once a Marine, always a Marine.
That's very, very good point.
Oh, go ahead, Sean.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to ask, you know, if we could, what was going on with Jennifer around the time when she disappeared? Like what was, if you could just paint a picture of what her life was.
Sure. She had just, well, I guess she was out of school a year and a half, something like that. And she was settling into a position at her work, which was right in Central Florida there, Central Florida Investments, which is the corporate to a large timeshare corporation in the country and around Orlando. She had worked there as an intern through college for a couple of years, and then they had given her, literally, they liked her so much, they gave her three positions to pick from. What would you like to do? And she picked something within the finance department. And her first job, her first task basically was to go through, I forget what department it was, but streamline it. And she did such a good job in streamlining it that corporate basically told her, you're going through every single department to streamline it after that. So she loved that. It wasn't in an office all day because there was many locations and what have you. So she was out and about and loving that. She was on a trajectory. She could do in that corporation pretty much whatever she felt like doing, and they knew it. They welcomed it there. So she was very wanted. She drove backroom operations basically, and she loved it. That's really what was going on with her in her private life. Basically, she had met a young man who lived in Fort Lauderdale, and they became rather close quickly. And every other weekend, they had a long distance relationship, her in Orlando, he in Fort Lauderdale. And every other weekend, they would take turns going to each other's apartments or condos, basically. And they did that for, gosh,
A
a
year.
year, for a year. And then they went on a trip to St. Croix.
Not a cruise.
Right, not a cruise. They took a plane, but they were invited by one of her boyfriend's friends who had a timeshare down in St. Croix. And they went for a long weekend.
With the family.
And it was with a family. It was his friend, his two young kids, and his friend's parents. So there's like 6 of them there, basically, 8 of them there. And she called us 2 or 3 times from St. Croix. Oh, I don't believe how beautiful this. We used to have a place in St. Thomas. And oh my gosh. And I'm like, well, Jen, you're there for like 3 days. You don't have to call. Like, go have fun. We'll talk to you when you get home, you know? So she had a blast. And I believe either her flight was missed or canceled on the way home. And they had to go to Miami. And then one of her boyfriend's friends went to Miami actually and picked them up, brought them back to Fort Lauderdale. And what would happen with Jennifer is if she stayed at Rob's place, her boyfriend's place in Fort Lauderdale, on Monday morning, she would get up at 4:30 in the morning, shower, get dressed, and head directly to work for 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock in Orlando, work all day, and then go home. And she did that when she came back on January 23rd.
22nd. She came home on a Sunday.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, and then
But
the
she
Monday.
got up Monday morning, January 23rd, from her boyfriend's condo in Fort Lauderdale, went directly to work, worked all day. And as soon as she got home at 6:20, 6:30, she gave us a call. Logan, her brother, was living with us at the time. He was still with us. And she spoke to all of us. She spoke to all of her friends that night. Everything was fine. She had a blast. And when January 23rd, the last phone call made was at 10:57 p.m. at night.
9:57.
And she spoke with Rob, her boyfriend, and they had a bit of an argument on the phone because they were getting so close and they loved their jobs and they were arguing who was going to move.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it was very, the relationship had gotten to that point. So they were loving each other and missing each other 2 hours away from each other at that
And we
point.
love Rob. He is
Yeah,
still part
it's
of our
incredible.
family.
Yeah, it's incredible. He's
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible man.
Yeah.
That's really
So
good.
that's basically where that ended. She got up, she went to work, she came home that night again. And then the next morning, at about 10:30 in the morning, I received a call from a friend who works at her company that I know. And he said, hey, Drew, Jennifer did not show up for work this morning and she had some appointments. Is everything okay? I said, well, I talked to her last night, but let me check. I'll give her a call. And the one thing that always the rule in our house is we gave our children a cell phone when they got their car. And the rule was if that cell phone rings and it's your mother or your father,
Yeah, better answer it.
you pick it up. If you don't, you're going to be grounded from the car. So I said, I'll call her. I'll give you a call right back. And at 10:30 a.m. in the morning on Tuesday, January 24th, 2006, I rang her phone and it did not even ring twice. It went directly into voicemail. And immediately I knew something was wrong. So I got off the phone, called my friend, said, I can't get her. Something's wrong with her phone. We're coming out. We live 2 hours away. Got with Joyce, got with my son, said, something's up. We can't find Jennifer or where she is. And we just started heading to Orlando. I went to Tampa to pick her up from work. Logan went out with a friend.
And we just started the 2-hour drive for Drew and I just called every hospital that I knew. I'm a nurse, so I had a lot of contacts in Orlando.
Right.
So I'm just like, can you call, this hospital system, call that hospital system.
We called police, see if she was arrested. Is she in jail?
Yeah, but you don't know. It was
Just
rainy morning. Could her car have slid off and maybe been in one of those retention ponds on the side of the road? I mean, like.
Yeah.
That must have been a very long drive for you guys.
Oh, it was hell.
It was absolutely, and going as fast as I possibly could because I drive fast.
But Miles, I'm going to tell you the biggest issue of that. So, you know how you can live in a city limits or you can live in county limits?
Mm-hmm.
Well, We didn't know. Jen's condo happened to be in the city of Orlando, where her car was found 1 mile away, Orange County Sheriff's. So there was a jurisdictional, you know what, and we gave all the information, every bit of it that we knew at that time, to OPD. And you know what they told us? First, I'm sorry, you're right. First, we called Orange Sheriff, and they said, wrong jurisdiction. It's the city of Orlando. And they wanted to make us go over the entire thing again. And I was like a Looney Tune. And I'm like, no,
Joyce,
you've got the data. You transfer the data to the other law firm. To the other legal.
Can we back up a little bit? So you're talking about once you guys got there, you found her car, and you're talking about where her car was parked?
Let me clarify if I may. No, she got that mixed up, basically. We didn't find the car till 2 days
2 days later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
No.
basically when we were on our way out.
I just want to make sure that it tracks for everybody who's watching.
Yeah, so you guys are driving down there, right? So I would say take it from there.
Right. So we're driving out Route 4 to Orlando from our home, 2 hours away. We're calling everywhere. When we finally called the police, we actually called the county, and they met us there, and they said, no, that's the city. Let us get the city over. And we gave all the information, as Joyce said. Then the city came over, and a patrolman walked into Jennifer's condo, looked around, looked at us, and said, she had a fight with her boyfriend. She'll be back. And that was it. He walked out. Mm-hmm. Officer Coudray, I remember that 19 years later, was like, no. And he said, don't worry about it. She'll be back.
And so, of course, I am a Jersey girl, and I went up to him and I said, stand there for a second, sir. And I wrote every piece of information that was on his badge. And he said, well, what are you doing? And I said, you will not hear the end of the Kesses. I said, because we're going to report your behavior.
Right. But it took about 4 more hours of calling everyone we knew in Orlando that knew anyone. And finally, someone we knew got to the mayor. And the mayor said, well, I think you better send a couple detectives down there.
And 8 o'clock at night.
And when the detectives showed up, they weren't really exactly pleased with having to come out, to be quite honest with you.
And this is still at Jennifer's condo.
At the moment.
Meanwhile, we had gotten that happened about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. By 4:30 in the afternoon, since the response from law enforcement wasn't exactly what we were looking for, we had flyers made up, and we were already standing on corners 3 hours after we spoke to police, handing out pictures of Jennifer
and
with a telephone number and her car.
And believe it or not, you know what phone number was on it? My personal cell phone number, because the police wouldn't even give us a number. And we're complete police supporters, but you have to remember, 19 years ago, so much has changed in technology, and it was always, once you're 18, if you want to leave your life, you can.
Yeah.
We've since changed the laws.
Can I ask you a simple question then, just to kind of like highlight that moment? I mean, were you guys surprised to find out what the actual response was? I mean, you have a missing daughter. You're at her apartment. The police are there, and nobody's taking it seriously. I guess just tell me what your headspace was like there.
We kind of went ballistic. We were very lucky because all the TV were there. In fact, TV was there. We did almost hourly reports to TV for 31 straight days. They literally camped.
The satellite trucks had occupied one part of the complex.
So we took what should have been done to the public via media. And we let them know that police aren't doing this and we think they should. And police law enforcement wasn't too happy with us. But unfortunately, there are things that need to be done. We knew something was wrong because it was unlike our daughter, and they were not getting the grasp of that.
Sure.
After the first day, they got the grasp of that.
When the reporters were reporting on it, I'm curious, did the fact that the cops were not necessarily responding in a great way right away, did that make it a better story? And was that part of what they were reporting on? Or were they just sort of reporting like, hey, this young woman's missing, and if anyone has information?
More of that.
More of that, but in the background, they were honestly telling us that this is not a very sharp department. Like,
Yeah.
keep talking. And we learned that because even law enforcement from outside of Orlando, every time they came up to us, they'd be, just keep doing what you're doing, Mr. and Mrs. Kesse. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Wow.
You
So
know?
let me ask you something about the jurisdiction, because you
Sure.
said that it was where you thought it was one jurisdiction, but it turned out it was another, and that's
Right.
what got you sort of stuck with Orlando.
Right.
Um, what was the difference as far as like if she had been over a couple of blocks, you
Yeah.
would have had it
Correct. Yeah.
that
It was
close?
literally 2 blocks. Yeah. And then it would have been in the county. And 2 days later, we were looking for her car because her car was missing. Okay. When we pulled up, the car was gone. So we were looking for the car, and again, in those days, we didn't have cameras everywhere. We were in beta for Google Earth even, so it just didn't happen. But 2 days later, the car was found, and that was a whole nother. They immediately brought her boyfriend there, and they wanted to open the trunk of her car with him
there, like,
to get
that.
to get a reaction. Of course, she wasn't in the trunk. But then we found film. They found film of when the car and how the car was parked. And unfortunately, it was taken exactly 1 mile straight up the road from Jennifer's condo. And it was parked in a sort of a bad condo complex, right next to the pool area. And the pool was surrounded by a large metal fencing. And and this is online, anyone can go and see it, but through the video, her car pulls in, backs out, straightens up real nice in a parking spot. Person sits in there, as we find out, 31 seconds, wipes it down, gets up, walks away. Cameras catch this person walking around the outside of the fence of the pool. Unfortunately, security's camera, they take pictures every 3 seconds. This person was caught every 3 seconds on video with the person's head behind a fence post. The luckiest person in the world. Every 3 seconds, his head's behind a fence post. So we can't even identify that person. And that's the only true evidence we have.
Were there
Because
any like characteristics that stood out that they could identify, like height, sex,
yes,
gender,
yeah,
anything?
yeah, and that was another fiasco. FBI came in, OPD, FDLE, all the agencies came in, and they did their testing for the height and what have you, and they came up with from 5'3" to 5'5", I think it was.
And then,
And we're like, well, that's a small guy.
It's a smaller person, yeah.
Yeah. And then we find out a few months later that OPD really didn't believe that. They did their own, and actually it could go up to 5'6" or 5'7". And then by the time they got done arguing, they really couldn't come up with a height at all.
So OP disagreed with the FBI experts
Yeah.
that came in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Wow.
the film that we have, it was very bad. It was a 30-year-old camera in a very poor.
Yeah, and we'll
NASA.
put it, we have the frames. We can put them up.
Okay.
Yeah.
So NASA and Walmart, they enhanced that film. That's what we see today is actually enhanced film. We've tried a couple times to enhance it more with technology. It's as far as it can go with the technology that we have today.
Yeah.
But that person is just, I mean, the luck of the world there.
I have another kind of strange question, but it might be sort of pertinent. I mean, do you remember how you felt the first time you saw those 3 frames, looking at this person, not being able to see their face?
Yes, because they showed them to Drew and I, and the first thing I said, I think it's an adolescent. And they're like, why? And I said, because they've got extremely long arms and their feet are big. And either they're wearing shoes that are too big for them, but this looks like an adolescent who's still growing into their body. So that was like what I told them immediately.
That's really interesting. And yeah, you can see when you look at it, the proportions do look a little like that,
Off.
like a teenager, right? They haven't quite grown into themselves yet.
Yeah, they're like
Maybe.
still that gawky stage.
Yeah. I kind of remember going like flush and feeling like I have got to find that person. I just felt my blood rush, and I'm like,
Right.
that's the person. That's the person I need to get to my daughter.
Right.
And that's how I felt at that particular moment.
Yeah, I would imagine that I mean, how else would you feel? It's got to be the most frustrating and
Heartache.
yeah,
But
just
I can
heartache.
tell you something funny. I
Sure.
mean, hindsight, when the two missing persons detectives came to Jen's condo on Wednesday, January 25th, where they're taking a report. And they're, does Jen have any moles, physical characteristics, anything like that? So I'm like, yeah, she has a scar on her left elbow. And other than that, um, she has a tattoo on her left buttock, but her bathing suit covers it.
And that's when
Daddy lost it.
That is
So we
kind of funny.
chuckle about it now, but I mean, it
Oh,
was
Drew, you
just
didn't know about the tattoo?
I did not, and it was a rule in our house: there will be no tattoos.
Right.
and it was a little shamrock.
Now everyone has a tattoo except me.
Yeah, I think the stats are like it's like more than 50% of the last
Not having a tattoo is the new having a
is having the
tattoo.
tattoo. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So mom and Jen had a secret.
Yeah.
Yep. And then mom now has a exact same tattoo, and I put it on my left ankle because I wanted to see it. And at the time, I was working, and you weren't allowed to have tattoos exposed. So I had it small enough that I could cover it with a Band-Aid.
Okay.
oh,
That has
nice.
changed, huh?
Oh yeah, times they have changed.
I was just at the hospital and the nurses are all sleeved up now.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
yeah, I was just going to keep taking us through this. So I guess
Yep.
the next question I had was, you guys are showing these photographs or you learn about these photographs. It kind of begs the question, what about the car, right? Obviously, that's Jennifer's car. Did they find anything in it? Is there
Right.
anything that came of it?
Right. The car was interesting. They found the car, obviously. They took it away after they brought the boyfriend out and what have you. They took it away to, I don't even know, a Chevy dealership, and they processed it. FBI processed it along with Orlando, or Orange County crime scene detectives, and they processed it all up, and they told us where it was. And I went out, and Jennifer was still paying on the car. It was a leased car. So after 2 or 3 months, I'm like, okay, what are we doing with the car? Do you need the car? What's going on? Because we're paying for the car, and do you have what you need? And they came back and said, yeah, we have everything. We vacuumed. We got everything in the contents. And the contents, just so you know, number one, they vacuumed out 9 canisters of what they're going to do of just vacuuming. They took everything out of her car that was in there. She had a big exercise ball. She had a hula hoop in it that she exercised with. She was a car slob. She just had her bills all. I mean, it was ridiculous. Clothes, shoes, just everything.
But her front seat was
She was commuting a lot, right? She was kind of living in that car, going back and forth to the boyfriends.
Right.
Yeah.
So they had told us that they found one latent fingerprint within the car and two hairs that were not correlated to any databases, and no one was arrested with it DNA wise.
Because and the other thing was, back 19 years ago, you needed a root ball to be able to extract DNA. You no longer technology; they don't need that.
Right.
Oh,
Unfortunately, things have been reprocessed. Whoever is the cretin that decided that they could steal Jennifer isn't in the system.
wow. Another frustration.
They have rechecked it with the
Yeah.
Yeah, they recheck it. Yeah, and then after we had won the files and gone through the files, we only saw maybe 20 pictures of the car, and then there was like 150 pictures of the car. And one thing that was very striking about the car, and it's creepy, is one day I'm looking at this picture and I'm looking at her front hood, And it honestly looks like someone put someone over the front hood and their fingers just dragged right down the front hood. And I show this to the police. I'm like, was anything done with this? Am I looking at what I'm looking at? So they said, well, I don't know if anything was done. And then I'm reading the files, and one of the detectives actually noticed it and said to crime scene, try and get some DNA off of this, and that. And then reading further, it comes out that it was never processed. So it was just never done.
Wow. And this is after the car is gone, right? By the time you
the
guys
car
are
is gone, yeah. And we had the car. We knew where the car was up until 2 years ago. We even went back to purchase the car, and as soon as the woman found out who wanted to purchase the car, she like tripled it. And I had gone along with police. We went to Chevy, and she had a black box. She didn't have GPS. And we said, what's in the black box? Is there any use that we can get, law enforcement wise? And they said, no, it's engine stuff. It's not a time that it goes off. It's nothing like that. So I said, do we need the car? And they're like, no, get rid of the car. We don't want the car. So we get rid of the car. Chevy took it back on the lease. They were very nice. And it ended up with someone else, somewhere. And then I guess 3 years later, yeah, we could probably use the car. Okay. And that's when we contacted her, and she said, well, I want this amount for it. And I'm like, I'm not paying like $9,000 for a car that's like worth $1,500 now,
Right.
So the car's gone. 2 years ago, it finally got smashed up, crunched it. It's gone.
So that is officially an avenue we can no longer explore. We have
Correct.
what we have. That's
frustrating. We also have 2 lead detectives that have passed away also since, and we don't have their knowledge. One of them wrote nothing down. So what's in his head is lost. Yeah.
It's the effects of time and a lot of other things, I guess, on an investigation that's been going on for this long. Oh, you guys, I'm sorry to hear that.
Where does it stand now? Like, as far as, because I know you guys have done a lot of work on your own. You've brought other people into it. Can we talk a little bit about that? Like, what, how you've kind of kept the case alive and.
Yeah.
Because we have big mouths. We are from New Jersey.
Basically, at some point, we just said, in year 13, we said, enough is enough. We need the files. I think we can do this better. So we told them, we want the files. I wrote a nice letter, this and that. They laughed. Yeah, okay. So I said, well, I'm going to get a lawyer, and I'm going to get the files. And they laughed again. Go ahead. So got the lawyer, and he wrote a nice letter and this and that. And they're like, no, we're not going to give you the files. So he said, well, the Kesses are going to sue you. And they said, let them sue us. They didn't think we were going to do it. We finally did it. First day in court, we won the files.
They were sitting right on the conference table, stacks of them, like we could touch them.
Was there ever any explanation given? And again, this isn't about bashing the cops. I think
no, this is not
to the cops in general. But was there any an explanation given of why they didn't want to give you guys the files?
Yeah, sure. It's like any case. It's open and it's active.
So it would jeopardize an ongoing case. That was and look, Sean
and there are some families that are involved.
Sure.
We're not involved, and they knew that. But I mean, there are some families that can be involved.
Right.
So we understood that. But after 13 years, we're like, you know us and we know you. We know what's going on. You know what's going on.
Because Drew did a lot of self-education.
It's so we said, hey, we're going to do it. And we won the files. It cost a lot of money to win the files. But then we finally got them. And 2 things happened when they gave us the files. Number one, they redacted everything. So we had to go back to court and say, you stupid fools, what are you doing? And then they gave it to us properly. And it was as if they took 16,000 pages and threw them on the floor, picked them back up, scanned them, and sent it to us. Nothing was in order. Nothing was anything.
The law enforcement, the private investigators, our attorney, nobody could believe how they gave us the files completely in no order. It was sad.
How long did it take you guys to sort all that out and get some semblance of like what was actually going on in that
Well, the
basement?
What we
the
did was
private eyes did
we
that.
had a team of 13 retired detectives come forward
Wow.
and say we'd like to take the case on,
Wow.
and we did our vetting homework and what have you, and it's an impressive team, to be quite honest with you. So
How did these guys, where did they come from? How did they had just been following the case and knew what
yeah,
was going on?
Word
yeah,
now.
they came from FDLE retired. They came from Tampa. Head of the head of Tampa homicide is my lead detective.
Wow.
He's retired. His son was involved, who was another lead detective in Tampa. We had the head of the Secret Service under the Trump administration first time on our team. There's a whole width there.
And the furthest lives in California.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
they worked on the files, and it took them about a year and a half, and it got to the point where police had to be involved, otherwise you can't take it to court and all that stuff. And my team is law enforcement, and they're going down the right way. We're not going to do anything illegal. So we said, okay, then it's time for Florida Department of Law Enforcement to get involved with this. And it took us about a year again, going through the Attorney General here.
Who is now the Attorney General of the United? Oh, wait, that's right.
But at any rate,
wrong one.
We went through the Attorney General and said, we need to speak with you. This is unacceptable, this and that. And we didn't even have to speak with her. She said, what do you want? And we just went about our business. And it finally ended up, we negotiated that Florida Department of Law Enforcement would take the entire case. They would take our detectives' work and go from there. And they've had it for 2 years now, coming up on 2 years. And it took a little time to get rolling, to be quite honest with you. But they're doing fast and furious. And I think at this point, Jennifer is finally getting what should have been done 19 years ago. But everything, it seems to be her term. The resources are there. The money is there.
The minds are there.
The minds are there. And it's either her turn to be found or not.
So it seems like you guys are feeling pretty positive, even though it's been, 19 years at this point. It seems like the journey has gone somewhere where it needs to be.
Right.
I think everyone involved with the case, except maybe the people who are truly working it, it's a solvable case. It's always been a solvable case.
In their opinion.
In our opinion.
Right.
Someone literally just doesn't disappear off the face of the earth. Someone like Jennifer. Not just a straggly runaway or doesn't have anything to live for.
Just a strikingly stunning 5'8", and she was wearing her 3-inch heels. So at 5'11", if they were thinking that the person who abducted her was 5'3" to 5'5", she would have kicked the crap out of him.
Well, at least
she took self-defense courses in college.
At least fought. She would have at least fought.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment, because I guess the one thing we haven't touched on is what may have happened, right? And the different theories that have come forward, probably from investigators, and what you guys might have thought, or friends of hers. Like, let's dive into that a little bit. I mean, maybe almost chronologically in the beginning here. What did you guys think we were looking at?
Right off the bat, I mean, obviously someone took our daughter against her will. Period. What am I thinking?
We figured they wanted to take her, rape her, murder her, and the police were going to find her body the next day or two. Honestly, that's what we thought.
Yeah, the franticness of January 24th. I can remember, I almost felt we lost as soon as the sun went down. We lost. I know what they're going to be doing to my daughter. Let's not be stupid.
Yeah,
we don't take beautiful women to stick them in the corner and say, oh, look how beautiful. No. So that's that. What I think, and you can speak to anyone in the family and probably even in law enforcement, there's a lot of different theories. My theory is that she was pointed out as payment, as just, we need a woman, not for Jennifer, just we need a woman. She was pointed out by someone. She was alone, and there was opportunity. I think it was absolutely planned. I think it was professional. The person, when you look at The Fence, the movie, who walks perfectly in stride? Someone that's been taught. Someone that's been trained and taught. We can't do it. Okay, so I think that she was taken out of the country immediately.
There was
No one needed her money, her belongings. They just needed a white female woman. The job was done. No one knows who the person is because that person's not from America, not from Orlando, not from anywhere. And she was taken out so fast via a means that was undercover in itself, via a private plane, a private boat, or something else. And she's gone. That's
and
my theory.
and we know that once she drove, well, let's put it this way. When they found the car, they know that from Jen was a trip odometer person and they calculated her route to work, home, and the gas because Rob had filled her tank that Sunday night. Her car, believe it or not, was only driven in about a 5 mile radius from where she was abducted.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So yeah, I mean, stands to reason if she was still there somewhere within 5 miles, a trace of her would have been found, right?
Right.
After all
Thank you.
these
There's
years. I
been
think that's what
there's
we're getting
been
at.
so many searches, and it's incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had private searches. Law enforcement had search. It's
Joyce,
everything has been quite.
do you agree with Drew's assessment of what probably happened?
I honestly, I do in the regards that the condo complex that she bought was a 2-year-old apartment complex bought by a Miami firm for condo conversion. Jen was one of the first 5 people who bought the condo. That company fired all of the previous workers and brought in tons of crews, Spanish speaking crews from Miami, and then knowingly we found this during the investigation, they actually let them stay in empty apartments to guarantee that they'd be there for work. But there were many police reports of the hooting and hollering of the workers at night because they'd drive around in the golf course, on the golf cart, and shenanigans. But I do think, and the reason I say that is, again, a lot of them came up from Miami. Nobody spoke English. Could someone not make their payment to the coyote? Could someone possibly have wanted a wife, a child, a sibling, a family member, but didn't have the money? So maybe the coyote throws out, well, if you can find me, blah, 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 blah. I think that's a realistic possibility.
Yeah, and just for our viewers, a coyote would be like a human smuggler, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Uh, that is interesting. So you guys definitely have sort of a similar take, but again, it's like the details, I guess, who can know. Um, but I guess both of you have left it in a place where almost it sounds like she could still be alive somewhere, right? If she's been
I,
taken somewhere, you don't feel
I
that way?
don't.
No,
No,
we
I
You don't
don't
think
think so.
so?
We like to talk to Jennifer still in the first person until we know.
Hmm.
But I personally know. I don't. We taught her to fight. We taught her that if you're taken, you're not coming home, dear. So you better fight.
And the other thing is that
It's sad
yeah.
what we taught them that actually came through.
But the other thing is Jen what had been inducted into the Spanish National Honor Society. She never let on to people that she could communicate, understand, and speak Spanish.
Wow.
So I used to think in the early days, oh my God, this is going to be an asset. She's going to be like able to know like what they're thinking, and maybe she'll be able to try to come up with a plan to get out. You know,
Mm-hmm.
your mind works in a million ways.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you never know. You never know. I mean, I this is a weird question, but I feel like I have to ask it. I mean, how have you guys managed? Because Sean and I have both interviewed a lot of families over the years who have lost loved ones, and we did a show for a couple of years for Hulu where it was just kids. It was all college kids, and we would only do the story if we could get the parents to be involved and if they wanted us to do it. And those are some of the hardest shows I've ever done in my life because the pain that these people were carrying is just, the law, you're not supposed to, we're all parents here. So, you're not supposed to lose your kid before you.
No.
And So how do you carry on? And is it really just the trying to figure out what happened and get some justice for her, or what's the driving force for you guys? Because you're not you guys seem great, and what I mean by that is that you're solid as a team. You're still together, and it hasn't destroyed your
47 years.
family.
Yeah,
And a lot of times what you see is when a child dies, the family just gets completely fractured, and
yeah,
there's alcoholism and drug abuse and
Hmm.
divorce and all kinds of stuff. And you
right.
guys seem to be really focused and solid, and it's impressive. And I'm just curious how you manage that.
For the love of Jen.
Yeah, we created Jennifer. We nurtured her, natured her, educated her, brought her up the way we felt someone should be. Um, I don't know how you walk away from something that you created. I don't know. And it didn't happen to us. We're strong because it didn't happen to us.
We're not the victims. We're the
So,
byproduct.
so we're the one, if we're not Jennifer's loudest advocates, who is going to be? And if we're not strong enough to do it the proper way and the right way, hopefully, that we see,
Right.
how's it going to get done? It's not going to get done. So you have to do, and believe it or not,
Mm.
the psychologist I saw, he set me, literally, the man set me straight in 1 hour.
Who's Elizabeth
And
Smart?
yes, it was I called Ed Smart one day, Elizabeth Smart's father, because we have a relationship. And I said, actually, Joyce called him and said, Drew is in a bad place. He needs help. He says, well, give this man a call. And I did. And I went out to Salt Lake City to see this man. And in 1 hour, this man set me straight. He just basically sat me down. He says, Drew, I understand your pain. I understand what's happened to your daughter and everything. But this world is not going to stop for anyone or anything. And you can be eaten up by it and chewed out, and you'll never be able to do another thing in your life, or you're going to come to grips with that. Your daughter needs your help, that you have to be calm, sensible, and do the things that you need to do for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took it that's absolutely right. And, I went home to Joyce and I'm like, this man just changed my life. This is what we need to do. So I think when you look at it to say, well, we weren't there that night, we didn't fight and struggle when she was taken, we don't know how it happened, who and what have you. What we do know is that is a human being that Joyce and I created and love,
And she was stolen from us.
and we will never give up on that whatsoever. I don't care, period. And not everyone can do it. Most people can't do it, and I don't take it away from any other parent that can't sit and do this, because
It's hard as hell.
when we get off this today, we probably won't talk to each other for the rest of the day. We'll probably just sit in quiet.
Well, no, we have to run those errands.
But
So
we will. Don't think that there's not pain and suffering in this family. We have basically lost all the material things in our life. That doesn't matter.
because
We've
it's
pretty
tough.
much lost all the money that we've saved in our life. That doesn't matter.
And we're renters now, but we always said, guess what? If we wind up having to rent a 2-bedroom condo or get into an apartment, we're going to do that because we're going to spend every penny we have trying to find
But
her.
it's simply for the love of our children. There's
And
no
we and then there's Logan.
How do you walk away?
And then, Drew just turned 68. I'm going to be 68 in June. And it's like, poor Logan, since he was 21, his best friend is stolen from him.
Yeah.
And
Half his life.
half his life. He's going to be 41 in April.
So
And
so just so you know, it does destroy the family because none of us have the same relationship at all. We have to work a lot harder at our relationships. Life is not easy. We can be depressed on any given day and not get out of bed.
Yeah, he's up, I'm down, or
So-
vice versa.
It's not what you see. We have to perform today.
It's like, I say this, people see us when we're strong. When we're not feeling strong, we really are not so much out and about.
Right.
I personally every day go and work out. And the girls that I've been working out with, they all know just by my facial expression when I walk in the door. Good day for Joyce or a bad day. On the bad days, I get nothing but hugs and love, but it's hard. It's so, sometimes you lay in bed in the morning and you think it's a bad dream. I'm not kidding. 19 years later, and I lay there and I'm like, and then when your your feet hit the floor, it's like, oh crap, this is our life. This did happen to Jennifer. Because, sometimes you have those hopeful dreams that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be just excruciating, I would think, to know it's bad enough that something terrible happened to your daughter, right? Which I think is pretty self-evident. But to not know what and not know who and not know how or where, I mean, that's got to really bother you. I know it would bother me.
Ambiguous loss.
Yeah.
What's the best outcome for you guys? What's the hope now with
Simply find Jennifer in any shape possible. I've said it many times. You can give us that much of Jennifer. It doesn't. We just need Jennifer. I think Joyce might be a little more interested. I don't care what happens after.
I don't care. I don't want to know the details. I don't care about prosecuting.
I don't care.
Just please give us a little piece of our daughter back.
Right. That's what the only thing we're in this for.
Yeah.
What would it mean to you to get these answers? I mean, if this case gets solved, imagine this year, right? And we find out where she is and what happened. What would that mean for your family?
Well, I think we'd be rejoiceful, to be quite honest with you. And we don't have to, just so people understand, our brains, we have two brains going 24 hours a day. Jennifer never, ever
is out of our head.
Ever. She's always there. And then you have the regular things. I have to go to the dentist. I have to go to the food store. I have to do the dishes, make the bed, take a shower, all that other stuff of regular life. And that is constant. That's very hard to deal with, very tiring.
And then when you hear a song, that was one of her favorite songs, it kind of like puts a smile on your heart and on your face. And you just like reflect and enjoy the song because that was the song that she loved and it made her happy. Mm-hmm. And then that can actually sometimes lift you. Like right now, we have a red cardinal that has just put a nest right outside our front door. Never had a cardinal nest. And cardinals, what they say, they're a message from someone you've lost. Well, we have a cardinal nest that started being built last Monday, and Mama laid 3 eggs. So she's sitting on her nest, but sometimes you have to find joy in the strangest things. And I have always been a believer that if I see a cardinal, it is a message from somebody I've lost. And we're not really religious people. We're spiritual, but we're, treat people the way you want to be treated, that kind of mindset.
That makes a lot of sense. Has this happening to your family, has it changed you guys in that sense at all?
I'm sorry, has it changed us in what?
In that sense, and sort of just the way you look at the world and spirituality or religion or anything like that, has it
absolutely?
Sure. Tell me about it.
Yeah, I personally believe in the universe. I don't believe in God. Okay, as simple as that. There is a greater being out there, or power, but it's not God, and that's just the way it is. When I'm going to be truthful, when we die, we die.
And I don't feel that way. I'm coming back as a bird.
Yeah.
A cardinal.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I feel when we're done, we're done.
For the longest time, I wanted to be a seagull because Jonathan Livingston Seagull, that book.
I love that book. Yeah.
Me too. It's one of my favorites.
Jeremy Siegel. So I always, I've been referencing that book for a long time.
It's so funny that I would even mention it.
So as I said at the beginning of this, the best case scenario for, why Sean and I wanted to do this is that, the amazing thing would be that somebody watches this that hasn't seen it or, forgotten about the case or something, and something happened. What's the best way for people, if someone did, to reach out? Is there something we can put up on the screen? What's active right now that's still going? Because I know you guys have done lots of different stuff.
Sure. Well, we're basically down to her social media. We used to have family tip lines. We used to have telephone numbers all over the place. But I have to be honest with you, 99% of stuff that comes in is just
It was
unbelievable.
wackadoodle
It's just
stuff,
unbelievable.
really to torment us.
Right. So what we ask is you can go on any of her social media sites. It comes immediately to us or to someone who immediately gets to us. But I would literally go right out to Florida Department of Law Enforcement, right out to Special Agent Jennifer Spears.
And ironically, her name's Jennifer. So even if you just did FDLE, attention Jennifer.
But people have no problem getting in touch with us. We still get letters in the mail almost weekly. We get emails and texts like, where are these people finds? My son sends me texts that people find him left and right. It has never stopped. She's on Google every day, multiple times a day. So everybody knows how to, they know where to go. And you can always go to any police. You can always go to your clergy, and they will help you if you don't want to be known and what have you. You can go to any lawyer and just say, I need to find where these people can be found. That lawyer will find for sure.
But if I may, I would love nothing more than for one day somebody find Jennifer and she's alive. I would love that. I mean, and for years, that's what kept me going. And I'm going to tell you, I'm still going to have that mindset in the back of my mind because I'm going to say the name JC Dugard to you. The woman from California that the Creighton held her for 21 years. So every little incremental when someone's been found after a long period of time, it kind of inspires me. My last hope of inspiration will be 21 years because that's the longest time that anybody had, or let's put it that the media has shared the story of someone.
Right.
That's
So do I still have hope? I do. I'm also a realist. Statistically, we know she is probably likely not with us. But until you can prove that, I will, and nobody can take your hope away. So it's such a strong word. And every day you just hope for an answer. I mean, it sounds weird, but every day.
We work every day for 19 years. I mean, people look at us, they say, oh, you're the film. Oh, you must be okay. No, we have tried every day for 19 years and we're not giving up. And it's us every single day. Oh,
And I personally really, it gets my goat when people, so you must have something like, you must have a lot of money from all the shows that you've done. And I'm like, what? Well, because the Anthonys got paid $500,000. And I'm like, oh, no.
We've never
The
made a
Kisses are not the Anthonys. Take that right off and throw it down the drain. We are not the Anthonys.
We've never made a cent.
We've never made a cent. We've never, we do what we do for the love of Jen and to keep her awareness out there because, as you said, someday, somehow, someone, those loose lips that sink ships, I pray for an answer. And my nightmare.
Go ahead. Sorry.
You want me to tell you, Sean, what my nightmare is?
Please.
Of Drew and I dying and not have an answer. And our son, who has had a really tough time anyway, will be the one to continue the search, the awareness. I mean, that scares me. That actually scares the crap out of me.
Oh, I can see why too. Without you guys there as support, having him shoulder the whole thing, and also, of course, you never getting the answers that you guys deserve to have would be, the worst possible outcome. I think, Drew, what I was going to say is you said something really important earlier that I do want to highlight, which is that I think somebody out there knows something. I think we all probably agree on that. And it's the coming forward that's important, right? And there are ways to do it that are safe. Like you said, a clergyman, get a lawyer. This happens all the time. People have information that they're scared to share, even after all this time. you can do it, right? You can
Yeah.
help out this family that we're talking to right now if you know something.
Hmm.
And it doesn't necessarily have to have a bad outcome for you.
Right.
Um,
And in a way you could kind of redeem whatever you're carrying in the fear that can't come forward
Yeah.
by doing
Right.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for sharing that information. I think, hope is always out there, at least in the basest of way that the answers are out there, right?
Yes.
Where Jennifer is and whether she's still with us, of course, we don't know. I think you put it really well. There's a realistic take and there's a hopeful take, and everyone's going to be somewhere on the spectrum, right, of how they're feeling
Yeah.
about it. But answers are out there. This wasn't 150 years ago. There are people walking around right now who know what happened.
Hmm.
And so I think the goal is to get that information to you guys and to the investigators.
Yeah, one thing I would like to say too is, Jennifer is by far not alone. And the American people, a lot of stuff has happened in America in the last 5, 7 years. And missing people used to have a good showing out there. People were looking for missing people. And then, COVID hits and a whole bunch of other just social
The borders
stuff.
being
Yeah.
opened.
And right now, missing people are they're on the back burner. And it's just, we're caring more about illegals here. We care more about our pets than we do about our children. I can be honest with you about that.
it. We
So
live in LA, and I can tell you that when I walk by someone and I have my dog and my baby, more people look at my dog than my baby.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
And it ticks me and my wife off because we're like, hey, this is a human.
Right.
Dog,
yeah.
you know?
So
But yeah,
I
you're
think
right.
I think people have to realize that, we we're human beings. We're on the top of the food chain, and we're in America, which I believe we're on the top of the food chain. And we just shouldn't let people go missing in America, period.
Yeah.
Um, it is my true belief, too, that, and I'm going to hopefully be speaking with the Attorney General that we have a personal relationship with now. Uh, I would like to see maybe 3 or 4 national offices for the long-term missing, the 1.5% of the 100,000 that are missing on a daily basis that are not coming home, all right, that need help, and put it in with the not the sheriffs.
The coroners.
No, at any rate, make 3 or 4 regional offices in America, put it under the federal government, all right, and go out with talent. It takes talent to find true long-term missing people. It's just not a regular detective that does that. So make the department, give it its resources, and
Hmm.
bring home the
Some
people
people.
that are truly no one should be left missing in America.
And on that note, Miles, related but unrelated, we have so many unidentified human remains in county morgues throughout the United States. Why are they not mandated to take the DNA and enter it into a national data bank? That way, it might hit, and some family who's been agonizing for 10 or 20 or 30 years would get an answer. But and we did that in the beginning, believe it or not. We used to go to the coroner's conference in California, in Florida.
Invites.
And it's crazy, but like we humanized it. And they all said that at their conference. They were like, you actually put a human side to, because they got some really crummy bodies and some crummy shapes, but it's somebody's family member. So don't just put them in a potter's field, take their DNA, and then let's see if we can't solve more missing people cases.
I think that's a
We'll
great
also solve
point.
more
It's a
crimes.
brilliant idea, actually.
Yeah, it's a
Well,
great
And
the
it's
idea.
amazing
database
that
is
it's
there.
not being done, and as you said, Drew, like the most successful industrialized first world country on the planet. So
Right.
Well, in 2006, the state of Florida did not have one policy or procedure for a missing person written. Not one. We wrote the law. We were like, what do you mean you don't have a policy and procedure? We don't know what to do. They literally just, we don't know what to do. Okay, we do.
Yeah.
It's
It
crazy.
does seem like there's just a lot of things that fall through the cracks when it comes to missing people. Everything we're
Yeah,
talking about. I mean, a
yeah,
coordinated effort, a national database. We do it for other crimes. We do it for all kinds of things. And to have this situation here where there's so many families across the country with no answers. Some of them, have been waiting 6 months, some of them 19 years, some of them more, and it
Right.
does seem like it would be doable if someone just organized it, put some money behind it, and we have the tools now. I mean, DNA even today is so much more advanced than it was in 2006 when you guys first, started
right.
this whole journey.
Exactly.
Um,
We do have those databases set up, just so you know. The problem is law enforcement agencies don't know that they're required to do it.
mm,
Is that
It's
sad?
just like Potter's Field in New York City. For years, it was, you have to do this, you have to do this. Finally, someone got in that says, "Oh, we're going to do this." Well, they solved, I think it was like 6% of their long-term missing because they were sitting in a Potter's Field. All you had to do was take the DNA. So we have that set up now, nationally. The problem is, again, you can go into around the state of Florida, you can go into police departments and sheriff's departments. How long before someone can be reported missing? They'll still tell you 72 hours.
We
right.
get families
It's
that will,
immediate.
we get families that call us because their loved one is missing and they went to report the missing and they were told it's 72 hours.
And there's no age. Everyone is someone's child. You can be 95. You're still someone's child in
Oh
this
yeah.
world.
Oh yeah.
And how
Well,
we
yeah.
treat, we don't care about adults. It's like, the heck with that.
Well, it's always been interesting to me that, there's the sort of the famous saying that, most murders are solved in the first 48 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when someone goes missing, we don't want to look at it for 72. Um,
Right,
the math doesn't work.
right.
But of course, I understand where they're coming from. I think because a lot of times people aren't missing, especially adults, right? They think when they hear an adult has gone missing, they just don't want to be found. And a lot of times that's true. But what
That's true.
what doesn't help is when actually that person has come to uh, some other sort of a malevolent end at someone else's hand. And 72 hours is a long time to destroy evidence, to get a body somewhere, or a living person trafficked to somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Just gone.
So
Yeah,
yeah, it's very frustrating.
yeah.
Um,
Very. But, and what, think of all of that on a side topic, but think of all of the untested DNA kits from all the people that have been raped.
Yeah, that's a whole
That's
nother
that's
thing
a
too.
horrific
It's
crime.
ridiculous.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
but we're, focusing more on the missing. They just, more education, I think. Law enforcement definitely needs to have more education. Um, yeah, they need more education.
Well, let me ask you
You
this.
can,
Just
Joyce, there was something else you wanted to say, and
Well,
I
I was
think
going
we've
to
been
say
pretty,
it.
we've been pretty careful on this call. So
Yeah, the advocates for the police departments. Okay, did you know that they have victim advocates?
Mhm.
Okay, they need to be trained
Yeah.
because we had a dozen people in Jen's condo the day that the victim's advocate from the city of Orlando came to talk to us. And she came in, said a few 5-minute little things. I mean,
She said, I couldn't really find anything on the internet to help us. So maybe after this is all done, we could build some information.
we're in the throngs of it. And yeah, can you imagine hearing that from a victim's advocate? From the
No, I
land of
can't.
Mickey and Minnie.
Doesn't sound like what I would imagine would happen in that scenario.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
let me ask you guys this then, because in talking through all the different law enforcement efforts that have been made on this case, we mentioned that now it's with the FDLE, right? The Florida
correct.
Florida
Department of Law
Department of Law
Enforcement.
Enforcement.
And it has a new case agent, Jennifer Spears. How are you guys feeling now, knowing that there's fresh eyes and fresh people and a fresh department on it? Have you been given any indication that things are moving or that there might be new information forthcoming, or do you not know?
and
um
obviously only speak
yeah,
about what you're comfortable speaking. We don't want
Yeah.
to ruin anything or
no, it's
jeopardize the
there's
investigation.
nothing high classified here now. Um I'll tell you exactly what I've been told, period. Agent Spears, Special Agent Spears, heads up Jennifer's case, and I've been advised through her. I don't talk to her much. I leave her alone. It's time that someone just does their job, period. But we do know that she has interviewed over 60 people, because we get calls as soon as she interviews someone saying, "Oh, I spoke to your agent today." And all the evidence has gone, all the physical evidence has been put back through. I don't know if it's been returned fully yet or what the difference is, but we know that the things that we've wanted to happen are happening and have happened. It's just, as I said, it's sad that it's 19 years later. This should have been done in probably day 4 or 5 or what have you. But like I said earlier too, I think that it's finally come to the point where the resources are there, the money is there, the people are there. We're going to give Jennifer the best chance. And, you know, in Florida Department of Law Enforcement, this is a new department. They didn't have it 2 years ago. So they've seen the light a little to say, we have some opportunities here to find people that are long-term, and we need to do that. So they've created at a state level what needs to be done. We just hope that they can be successful at it. We do have hope, because we think that if the proper things are done, things will come to light, which will just start adding up and bring us into a direction. Because as we speak right now, we can stand at Jennifer's front door and we cannot move an inch left, right, up, or down. And I said that on day 1, and I've said that for 19 years. And it's really sad that we have not moved this case forward. But I think it is moving forward, or has the best opportunity to move forward at this point. And if they come back to us and say, "You want to know something, Drew and Joyce? We have done everything. Your daughter is gone." I think we could understand that from this agency.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Well,
I'm glad, you know.
I'm never going to accept that. I'm never going to accept that you can't find a person. You've got to be able to find a person. And all I can say is there's a possibility Jen was abducted by aliens. Look at all of the UFO stuff coming out now. She would be a beautiful specimen for someone to have taken. So I know it's you kind of chuckle about it, but in some ways, on any given day, me having those thoughts in my head bring me comfort and calm, because as the alternative that she's no longer with us.
We spoke about this very early on. I'm not a disbeliever in what in the road that you're going down, and that's something that Sean and I actually probably do disagree on in a larger context. But
I might be surprised at that. That's a different show, but yeah.
I mean, look, not to make light of anything that we've talked about today, but the shape of that person, that humanoid in those photographs, was it a teenager or was it a little gray alien? It's possible.
I like your thinking, Miles.
Anything's possible.
Yeah.
Well, I think it speaks to, what it's like when there are just no answers, and everything that you think you should have. Like, a person shouldn't just disappear, right? In America in 2006, a young person in a big city where there's cameras and cell phones, granted, not to the degree there are today, but even then, there should be answers. And when there isn't, anybody's guess is, why not aliens at that point after 19 years? I could see why that thought crosses your mind. I hope that's not the answer. I hope that we find her in a more terrestrial condition, and you guys get some more,
but it does
less paranormal answers.
It does speak to the sort of, just disappearing completely without any explanation and nobody able to find anything. I think if anything, it speaks to that frustration of, how is that even possible?
Yeah. Think of this. She had a briefcase, she had her pocketbook, and she had 2 cell phones with her.
And an iPod.
And a brand new iPod.
That we actually had the identification number to.
Because we had just given it to her at Christmas.
Never been used or downloaded.
So
shows how long ago this was.
Exactly.
You had a separate iPod and
yeah, right.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you guys have been sitting with this for so long.
Well, you know what? You
Us
got
too.
we told you
Us
that
too.
when we talked to you that you guys are very comfortable to talk to.
Yeah.
And there are times that our skin's crawling out because
Oh,
we're
I
so
didn't mean sitting and
uncomfortable.
talking to us so long. I mean
Oh
literally
no, this has
sitting
been wonderful.
so long that you, with no answers is just when you said that about the iPod, I thought about that and when I actually had an iPod and how
Well,
long ago that actually was, and that means that's how long your daughter's been gone.
yeah,
And
it just sort of
it just kind
contextualized.
of gave it like an actual like visceral.
Well, think of this. When we text, last time Jennifer texted, if you wanted to use the B, you had to hit twice.
Right,
Right. It was still the number pad texting.
right,
Yeah.
It took forever.
right.
Message texts were a lot shorter back then, I remember.
Yeah, it's a better
Yeah.
world actually in some ways. But
And
anyway,
there were no emojis. So
that's a different interview. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, a world without emojis. Wow.
wow.
That's something to think about. How did the
Well,
kids communicate with each other? Uh,
Yeah, they don't talk, they text.
yeah,
And I'm sitting next to you, but we're going to have a conversation and we're
right,
not saying.
right, right, right.
right.
That's so bizarre.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you guys were hoping to talk about today with us that you want to get out there that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I think the only thing that people should realize and understand when you're dealing with a long-term missing person and people who continue to look for them, the wackos will come out. We've had attempted extortion probably 6 or 7 times. I've been on death row, having to have that person tell me exactly who took Jennifer and what have you. You have people walk up to you and say, "I'm the person in the picture."
That happened to
Yeah.
me like 5 days after Jen was abducted.
Right.
I was passing out flyers in the shopping center, and a woman came hysterically running up to me and said, "Help, help. I know the person who took your daughter." And it was a big to do. I mean, it was awful. We survived it, but she was really trying to jam up her boyfriend. Mm-hmm.
We had a
That's
person.
happened a lot,
Yeah, we had a
sadly.
person that said he killed 17. Jennifer was around 13. Maybe I can help you. It's a little out of line, but maybe I can help you. We put 2 people in jail. Joyce and my son's wife were threatened over the phone. And you got to take care of them. Like, what's wrong with them? What's wrong with people? What's going on? So people have to understand that it's not just that you're trying to look for your daughter, and then there's the financial needs. I mean, we've spent basically a little over $700,000. The 401ks are gone. It's just every part of your life
Is altered.
is altered, and it's just not going to return back to what you ever felt it is or was.
I'm not the same person I was.
No.
I am still a goofball,
Yeah,
and I have always been a smiler. So but I'm sometimes quite fearful of my own shadow.
So
I am very, very safety conscious. Yeah, I was never a scared person, and it has made me like a scared person.
Yeah. I think people don't understand that folks in your situation are subjected to all that stuff and just re-traumatized in so many ways. I mean, your exposure to just people making these bizarre confessions or, calling you in the middle of the night, threatening you or saying weird stuff or sending you weird material in the mail. I mean, it's really sad that you become the lightning rod for a lot of that stuff. And you kind of have to sort through it because you are looking for answers, right? So it's not like you're just going
Right.
to block everyone's
You can't
number.
ignore anything. Yep.
Yeah.
But
So
I'm sorry, hon. If I may, though, by far, there's been so much kindness
much more good.
from so many people of so many different walks of life that out of the bad has come some positive things.
Yeah.
And ever so briefly, people without a pot to piss in, basically, would come up and give Drew and I a $10 bill and say, go get yourself a sandwich. or go get yourself a drink. Like, you know, it, that kind of really touches your heart because people care. And we stood on that street corner, opposite street corners, for 5 months at rush hour in the morning and rush hour in the evening. And the amount of people that were the same people, because that's a commuter, road, would yell out their windows, "Keep it up! We're looking for Jen, and don't ever give up, and we're praying." And
Hmm.
that's the kind of stuff that really helps uh, your strength. Your strength. It really, the power of that good energy is strengthening. It's strengthening.
Would
It's
would you
comforting.
would you guys
Um,
say,
but
sorry, Joyce, I'm really curious now that you brought this up. Would you say that you've had more positive interaction than negative?
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's nice
It's
to
just that the
hear,
negatives are
actually.
really negative.
Yeah, it's just that the
The
negative
negative's
stuff is
really
really
negative.
negative.
Yeah. Well, anyone doing that is just it's just so
Yeah.
abhorrent, right? But the fact that there has been more support and more positive feedback than the bad, that's nice to hear.
And we like to remind people of that. There's the cretins are this percent, and then good people are this.
Yeah.
Right.
Just that small, and I call them cretins because I'm trying to be politically correct.
Right.
It's a good word. It works.
We really wanted your perspective on everything, and I feel like you've been incredibly open and generous with your thoughts and your feelings and your time. I mean, is there anything, Sean, that you think we left on the table?
I think that as far as questions for them, no, but I did want to just tell you guys, and I'm sure I speak for both of us here, that you are really both a lesson in persistence, and what you've continued to get up every day and do for 19 years is really astonishing and really amazing. And that if there's anybody else who watches this who has a missing loved one or something like this in their life, I think you guys are a good couple of people for them to look to. And I really sincerely hope that we find Jennifer as well and you guys get some answers. Your family
Thank you.
deserves that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We
Well,
do
thank you guys
too.
for taking time to talk to us and share your story with us. It's been really, really nice.
Yeah.
Much appreciated.
And if you need anything follow up, just reach out.
Just give us a call.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, it was
Thanks,
good to see
Drew.
you
Thanks,
both. We'll
Joyce.
definitely talk again. And yeah, thank you guys for hopping on.
Have a peaceful day.
Thank
You
you.
too.
You too.
Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Uh, wow.
Yeah.
It's definitely
I'm,
heartbreaking.
you know, we can talk more about like, their take. I guess, we don't have to do that right now, like sort of breaking down like what true things happened versus what Joyce said. But I thought that was interesting.
Definitely.
Um, yeah, and that whole bit about, the database and the fact that there is no sort of task force on a federal level, like looking into missing persons. I mean, I agree. It's crazy. It's crazy that we live in such a wealthy country and there's all these missing people, and like the fact that someone can just disappear off a street in a major metropolitan place in the United States of America and just never be heard from again and just disappear without a trace in the daytime even, and not drunk or any weird circumstance, just go into her car. It's pretty nuts.
Yeah, well, it is the worst case sort of scenario because a lot of missing people are like, oh, they were last seen drunk and walking by a river or something. And you're like, okay, well, I think I know
Right.
what
And
might have
that's
happened.
what we're used to, right? Like,
Yeah,
especially with like our day job, right? It's like wrong place for the right reasons, or,
yeah.
right
Or
place to
or
get
there's an
killed.
element of their life, right? Like, they're cheating on their
Yeah.
spouse or they
Yeah.
owe somebody money or something, and then they go missing, and you're like, okay, well, there's probably something there. But for Jennifer, I mean, the way they describe her is just like this person who anybody would want that to be their daughter,
Yeah,
right?
she was
Like
a rock star, and
just
she just
killing it in
disappeared
life.
into thin air.
Yeah.
And I Drew's thesis is not unbelievable,
No.
even to the motivation of it, and it's it's interesting. I mean, it's a little bit of a touchy subject, I guess, right now, but like the fact that they brought in all these migrant workers and they were occupying those apartments, and who knew where they came from, and was everybody vetted, and it's That's it's not a bad, you could look at it and say, yeah, there's some scapegoating going on or something, or some stereotyping, but at the same time, like it's as good an explanation as any, and it's pretty thought out.
Yeah,
Uh,
and I think, it's one of those things that, like, of course, it's sort of a third rail for people when it comes to talking about undocumented workers and
yep,
stuff. But it's less about the language these people spoke or where they came from to me as it is about we have a transient population of people with really no paperwork
right,
that we know who they are or where they're from or if they have a criminal record in some other place and they're working in this apartment building where almost nobody lives but Jennifer and I think they said five other people had gotten units
five
there.
apartments altogether. Yeah, so her and four.
So, I mean, whether or not that's ultimately what happened and it involved one of those people, it's impossible to ignore that. I think anytime you have a homeless encampment, right, of people who are citizens but are kind of off the grid or anything where there's just people and you don't know who the hell they are or where they go or where they come from. And then you have an unsolved murder in close proximity to that population. Yeah, it's got to be brought
Right.
up, right? And I
And we
think
need
it's
to we
fair to
need to be
bring it
able to
up.
talk about it without worrying about who at least
Absolutely.
voted for or whatever, because it's just facts, right? And it's not saying like everybody falls under that, but or even even that person necessarily, if they were part of that population, like what Drew said, maybe they had their mother was being held as a hostage, like who knows? I mean, there's
Who
so much
knows?
stuff that happens around that subject that anything's possible, but man, yeah,
Well, and a lot of those people are being, exploited in various ways like that,
yep,
and are sort of like there's pressures that are applied to them to hand over
hmm
money or smuggle drugs. Or I mean, this is just like well documented
yep,
stuff,
yep.
And I think it's not like that the detectives or anybody else who's looked at this case landed on that avenue because of anything political. It's because those are the people who were around Jennifer's apartment, and those are the people who probably would have known how to get into the parking garage and that she
Yeah,
lived there and what
and
time she got
who
up in the
would
morning.
have been clocking her, honestly. I mean, who would have seen her every day, right? It's just that fact is just it's just kind of crazy that that she lived in this complex and it was almost fully empty except for four other apartments that were actually owned, and everything else was just being occupied by these the guys who were working on the building.
Yeah.
uh that's kind of wacky.
Yeah, to
um
me that's a very obvious avenue that answers might come from. And I know it's been looked into and without having seen the police reports ourselves, it's hard to say
yeah,
whether or not all those people were ultimately cleared or if some of them disappeared and we just don't know. The only other thing I can think of would be somehow another stranger became, interested in her and found their way into that apartment. That seems a little more out there. And then the third one would be, is there somebody in her life that was a little closer to home that she knew
that we don't know about,
work
or that
or met
hasn't
at a
been looked at.
restaurant and like that just we don't know, right?
Yeah, was there an X or something, or
Yeah,
that hasn't been looked at? And maybe we could, we're gonna talk to a couple other people with this case, right? So maybe those are some questions we can ask. Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. And far be it for me to like put my own speculation out there. It's just interesting to see what has been looked at, what the family thinks. And then yeah, like you said, I'm curious to talk to the current investigator.
um, all right. Well, we will revisit this with some other folks, right?
Absolutely. We're not done. But that was great. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed meeting them.